Hi, I'm Jem.
And I'm Victoria.
And this is The Criminal Crack.
I don't know what happened there.
Well, it wasn't as bad as the rap.
I think I had a frog in my throat. And I'm not allowed to clear my throat.
Ribbit.
Ribbit.
I was listening to a podcast the other week and somebody kept clearing their throat and I had to turn it off because it was constant.
Yeah, people don't like that.
No. What have you been up to?
Oh, lots of stuff. I've been trying to enjoy like the last few days of sunshine because it's been really nice. So we've been out and about with the doggos quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But it is getting colder and I have had to have my thermal tights on a couple of times. And Gemma doesn't like me to badmouth Scotland by saying it's cold all the time, but this morning...
She's cold all the time.
I'm
Scotland's
cold all the
not.
time. But this morning I was in the shower and I bent over to pick my shampoo up and my naked bum touched the tiles and I nearly shot through the screen door because it was so cold on my posterior. And there was nearly an accident and I could have ended up just in a mess on the floor with broken glass. And yeah, that all went through my head for a minute.
There's an image.
It was cold on my tush. What have you been doing?
I've been working as usual and I've been doing cross stitch because so I do all sorts of crafts, but I haven't done cross stitch for ages. But I went into TK Maxx and they had a heap of them for like $1.99 and $2.99, so I've got 3 little Halloween ones that I'm working on.
I love TK Maxx. Yeah, you sent me the start of one, didn't you, in a picture and tried to make me guess.
Can you tell what it is yet? Oh, sorry, is he a paedophile?
Yeah,
Rolf Harris.
Yeah, but that wasn't a very good impression. You could have got away with it.
Can you tell what it is yet? I'm claiming it now.
And I guessed it. No, don't claim that phrase. No. I claimed it. What? I guessed it was a frog, but I was wrong. I was hopeful, I think. I love frogs.
It actually looked like tits for a while. And it just, every time I looked, it made me chuckle.
Oh,
the
yeah.
bottom bit.
Wasn't my other guess a cowarder?
No, I can't remember, but I'm on the second one now, but I have had to restart a few times because with every craft I do, whether it's like crochet, sewing, like cross stitch, turns out I can't count.
Oh, maths is your downfall.
I don't think counting to 10 counts as maths, but...
I can count to potato.
Oh, me too. Although I say potato.
Potato.
I just did a wink there. I might add in a king. So I did that, and...
I forget people can't see us.
That's true.
We're doing all this emotive stuff. We're actually dancing whilst we talk, and nobody can see the joys.
We're doing burlesque.
Oh.
Well, your butt's already out of the shower.
It is, yeah.
I forgot to mention last time we recorded that I went go-karting, and it was so much fun.
Did you even tell me you went go-karting? I don't remember.
I sent you pictures.
Did you?
Didn't I?
No.
We got to wear balaclavas, which was quite cool.
Oh, I like that.
But we came home with, I don't know if I should say this, but we've come home with 5 and there was only 4 of us. So I don't know what's happened there.
Oh, 5 balaclavas, not people.
Bright red balaclavas.
It's like you've hijacked a person, the little Manny from the go-kart place.
Little Manny?
Can I go home now, please?
It was so much fun. I was determined that I was going to win and I didn't win, but I went so fast.
Did you get to like throw banana skins and bombs and stuff?
It wasn't Mario Kart.
Oh, okay. I really want to do a real life Mario Kart. It would be so much fun. Oil slick.
It'd be very dangerous.
Fun though.
But it was really good fun and I found it by chance. So I went to that hotel when you looked after Molly for me.
Oh yeah.
And on the way to the hotel there was a sign that said go-karting and I thought, ooh, because the kids have wanted to do it for ages.
So it wasn't like a secret hidden go-kart place because there was a sign?
A little sign.
Okay.
A little sign.
And you can read, you just can't do maths. Excellent.
I can't tell the time either.
Oh, okay. Is that why you're always late?
I'm not always late, that's
no, actually,
you.
You were early today, so...
I give you vague times because... Okay, I'm just going to tell you a little story about Victoria. Victoria will say, what time are you coming? And you'll say 3. You might say 3-ish, which means to me before 3:15. Victoria will turn up at her own house at 4 o'clock. And you've been sat there like a fucking muppet waiting for it. And she does it all the time, except lately she thinks she's really cool because she keeps turning up early and it's just bamboozling me. I'm good with it. My problem with the time is I can tell the time, but if I have like There's two things. First of all, if I'm going somewhere and I have an appointment, the whole day I'm in waiting mode until I've gone to that appointment. I struggle to do anything else. It's an ADHD thing.
I was going to say that's an ADHD thing.
The other thing is, if I have to time, say it's going to be like 45 minutes, it confuses me sometimes. Like, okay, I have to think, right, okay, the hand's there now, it's going to be there. I have to set a clock to remind me 5 minutes before 45 minutes is up so that I know that it's coming up. Or if I'm doing a journey, so if I go to Elgin, I go to Elgin all the time, I still will end up there half an hour early because I'll think, oh, I can't think how long it takes to get there.
Yeah, see, because I'm still fairly new to driving in this area. Obviously, when I lived here before, I was young and I didn't drive. I'm still not sure about the times it takes to get places and the traffic.
I know the times it takes to get.
So, and you still.
I just panicked. Yesterday, I had to be in Elgin for 1:20, and I accidentally left at 12:15 because I was offered soup.
That'll do it.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, any other news?
I don't think so.
Are we going to get crack-a-lacking because you said this one's a long one?
It is a long one.
But we'll stop soon because Victoria needs to poop, apparently. True story. True story. So, Victoria, where does he think everything goes?
I think I was just very, very convincing.
I've held it, like, this is a quick sidebar, but when I first started seeing people, I wouldn't fart around them or anything, but it's so dangerous. You can actually die from the gas build-up.
You can explode.
No, you don't explode. Right. So, Victoria, what is the crack?
Well, we're back in June 1993. June the 12th, 1993 was the day of the Rhine Army Summer Show, or RASS. The RASS had evolved from being a horse show to a large annual festival in Gütersloh that brought people together from all over British Forces Germany, known as BFG. Some of the local German population would attend as well, and they could see exciting military demonstrations, enjoy German cultural events and food, so bratties and stuff.
Ooh, yummy.
And there was a fun fair as well. It was a cherished day where families would share in laughter, sunshine, and of course there was a beer tent or two. One of the people celebrating that day was Christina Menzies. Born in Scotland in the late 1970s, Christina grew up as part of a military family. In 1993, her family was stationed in Bielefeld, Germany, which was about a 20-minute drive from Gütersloh.
Okay. Can I just ask?
Yeah.
Is Menzies Menzies?
Yeah.
Do you know that that's quite often pronounced as Mingus?
Is it?
Yeah, the people that I know with that surname say it Menzies, but it could be Mingus as well.
Is it a Scottish thing?
I think so.
Because her family was Scottish?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. Her father was a British Army Staff Sergeant named John Menzies, or Mingus. He was posted there along with his wife Christine, their daughter Christina, and her younger brother, also named John. Having a parent in the armed forces meant a childhood marked by frequent moves and upheaval, a reality many of us with a military background know only too well. It's something both Gemma and I can relate to, having also grown up with fathers in the RAF. In fact, there's a striking coincidence that makes Christina's story feel even closer to home for me. While her father was stationed at RAF Gütersloh, mine was serving just a couple of hours away at RAF Larbruck. I think I may have even attended the RASS with my family in 1993. I spoke to my brother and he was like, yeah, we did go to one, definitely. And it would have been around then because I was about 11.
So the same, you were there when she was there?
The same year, yeah.
That's bonkers.
That connection also, it just lingers in my mind, making this case feel less like a distant story and more like a shared chapter from our youth.
I get that.
I was a couple of years younger than Christina, but I can imagine we might have liked the same music, worn the same clothes, or the same style of clothes, maybe even scribbled the same band names on our school books. This was the year when we were listening to Ace of Base, Take That, Two Unlimited, House of Pain, Jump Around.
Do you remember when I visited you in Germany and somebody told us that Two Unlimited had died in a car accident and we were just heartbroken?
Yeah.
And they had
that was the year before this, I think. I think that was 1992 that you came over. Jurassic Park was on at the cinema as well, at the pictures in 1993.
Oh.
The photos I've seen of Christina are hauntingly familiar. They remind me of girls I grew up with, of friendships I held dear. Every time I look at them, my heart flinches a little. There's something painfully tender in seeing someone who could have been one of us, frozen in time. And sadly, what should have been a day for creating memories for Christina, her friends and her family, instead turned into a night that will be emblazoned in people's minds forevermore. After the summer show, 16-year-old Christina Menzies and her friends were still hyped up and weren't ready for the day to end, so her parents agreed that Christina and a friend could go to a disco at the NAFI. Back in 1974, a little-known band called Chicago Heatwave, later simply known as Heatwave, who did Boogie Nights, that one, had stepped onto the stage as the first live act ever to perform at a brand new night spot on RAF Gütersloh. And I got this information from my dad, who was based at Gütersloh in 1974 when it opened. He was invited to go to the opening night, but was told that the band were a bit crap, and he didn't have the money to spend on a not so good night out, and especially not on a corporal's wage.
Why is he so old?
He's so old. Yeah, he was there on the opening night. But the venue was on the base, which meant it was under 24/7 armed guard and only accessible to military personnel, their families, and those with specific authority to access the camp. So you had to sign in and out. And it was also considered a safe place to socialise because of that.
Didn't your dad go to a Mozart gig?
I always wondered if Mozart, like when he was doing his best stuff, if his mum was in the next room going, "Keep it down!" You know.
Well, wasn't he deaf though?
Oh.
So he wouldn't have heard. Was he deaf? Have I just made that up?
I don't know.
I will take a note to check. Was Beethoven deaf?
We were talking about Mozart.
Oh, I think it might have been...
Beethoven's a dog, you idiot.
Oh, yeah. Dang.
Oh, dear. Anyway, this venue known as Club 47 was a beloved and bustling hub for servicemen and their families. Named after the British Forces Post Office number BFPO 47, Club 47 was a symbol of community and good times. For decades, it had remained a place where people could put the stress of service life on the back burner for a while, where music played loud, friendships grew stronger, and people could dance into the night. The girls were dropped off at the ever-popular Club 47 by Christina's father. According to Christina's mum, this was the first time that she'd been to a disco, and she was understandably very excited.
I know this is going somewhere bad, so that just makes me feel a bit sick.
Into the night, the girls were seen laughing, chatting, dancing with servicemen, and generally having a good time being typical, carefree teenagers. Christina had recently returned from boarding school in Scotland, so letting her hair down must have felt long overdue. Christina's parents had set a midnight curfew when they dropped the girls off, but ever the typical teen, when they arrived early at 11:30 to collect her, they saw her outside the club. She was a bit peeved and asked if she could just stay a while longer, and her parents agreed that she could still have until midnight. I don't know if you've ever had this, but my mum turned up once to pick me up and I didn't realise the time, and she actually came inside and it was so embarrassing.
My mum came into downtime when the lights had been brought up in her pyjamas.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you know that feeling.
Yep.
So some reports suggest that her father had caught her in the arms of a drunk serviceman and saw him off, and this had humiliated Christina, which caused her to angrily storm back into the club. But I can't find, this is just somebody's
Hearsay, yeah.
I can't find confirmation, but it would explain maybe why she decided to push the boundaries that night, wouldn't it? Come midnight, Dad John and Mum Christine were there in the NAFI Club 47 car park waiting to give their daughter a lift home. But Christina didn't show. At first they perhaps assumed that she was just pushing her luck, or that she'd not kept an eye on the time, but the club was closing and people were leaving. The worry started to creep in. The clock was ticking and still no sign of their daughter. Then something deeper and unsettling started twisting. You know, that sort of sick,
something
weighty, hollow feeling in your gut when something is wrong. They'd only just spoken to their daughter. It was moments ago, a little more than half an hour. So where was she? Eyewitnesses claimed they saw Christina leaving out the back of Club 47.
Oh dear.
And after that, nobody seemed to know where she went, or at least if they did, they weren't telling anyone. John Menzies called the military police and reported 16-year-old Christina missing. Her parents searched throughout the night for the teen, but couldn't find her. The following day, Sunday, June the 13th, at around 4:45 in the, afternoon, evening, roughly 10 kilometres away, which is about 6 miles, off the base in a small town called Spexard, which was referred to by the local servicemen as Specky, an elderly man made a chilling discovery in the undergrowth while riding his bike close to the A2 autobahn. He didn't approach what he said looked like someone lying there, and instead quickly alerted his neighbour, Walter Rogenkamp, to what he'd seen. Walter later recalled, "The old man told me it looked like a woman. Then I phoned the police. You could tell straight away that she was dead."
Oh.
For Christina Menzies' family and loved ones, their worst fears were about to be confirmed when the body of the young female was quickly identified as that of the missing teenager. Just under 17 hours after she was last seen leaving Club 47, the body of Christina Menzies, a bright, funny, bookish 16-year-old girl who'd had her whole life ahead of her, was found partially clothed, lying in the undergrowth in De Worthstrasse near the junction with Stukerkamp, just before the overpass on the A2 Autobahn. And so, for those that don't know, an Autobahn is like a motorway or dual carriageway. I think it's actually like, it's a motorway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because there's no speed restrictions and
No.
stuff. Spexard was, at the time, a quiet, leafy village with lots of cycle paths, but as I said, it was next to the motorway, which is the main route between Dortmund and Hanover.
Can I just confirm one thing? I think I've missed this. Was Club 47, because it was on base, was it only for people on base?
It was only for those with authority to be on base, yeah.
So if somebody there was bold enough in the last half an hour of the club being open to take her, that's crazy.
Or she potentially went with voluntarily and was being a little bit, just being a teen.
And her parents were just on the other side of the club, like outside?
Yeah.
Okay.
So German civilian police were involved in the initial investigations, but as Christina's identity was quickly confirmed of being that of a daughter of a British Army sergeant, a special investigation branch of the Royal Military Police quickly established a major investigation team, which then worked closely with the German Civvy squad. But the scene raised more questions than answers. Christina's cause of death was not immediately obvious. However, a forensic pathologist quickly determined that she had died at the very spot where she was found.
Okay.
Her t-shirt and bra had been pushed upwards around her head, and her trousers had at some stage been removed. A post-mortem would later reveal that Christina had been strangled or possibly smothered. Curiously, Christina's shoes were missing from the scene.
Oh.
These have never been found. Police released a photo of similar shoes when they aired a Crime Watch appeal in 2017. So that tells you we are looking at an as-yet unsolved case.
Okay.
I'll add the image of the shoes they released to our page. They are 90s style black leather chunky platforms with a thick crossover strap and a metal buckle. A bedsheet or duvet cover, described as having a British flag design, sold by the Naffy shop on base, was believed to have been used to wrap or conceal Christina's body.
Oh, so whoever it was probably left the scene and went back.
Fibres from the duvet cover were found on the young girl's body, but strangely, the bed linen was never recovered either. And I've got a slight issue with this because...
Hang on, how did they know that there was that bed linen if it was never recovered?
Right.
Sorry.
So my thing is, if the Home Office pathologist stated that she died at the scene, why would she have needed to be wrapped and concealed in a duvet cover at all? That doesn't make sense to me. They're claiming this scene is a crime scene and not just the deposition site. So if she'd been wrapped in a duvet cover at the scene, why would the duvet cover then be missing?
How do they know?
Fibres. They found fibres.
Right, so they didn't know this at the time. This was found out later.
I'm assuming so, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The Royal Military Police liaised with German civilian police. They conducted interviews which included talking to the servicemen and their families who'd been present at Club 47 on the 12th of June. They launched appeals, rigorously pursued wide-ranging avenues of investigation, and facilitated one of the most comprehensive inquiries the Special Investigation Branch had ever mounted in Germany. Retired German police detective Ralf Ostermann later said, "We interviewed 300 people with the British police and ultimately identified a British soldier as the suspect." Just days after the heartbreaking discovery of Christina's body, 2 soldiers were taken into custody. One of the servicemen was 23-year-old Corporal Darren Fisher, who was stationed in Gütersloh and believed to be serving with the General Support Regiment of the Royal Logistics Corps at the time. The identity of the second soldier remains unclear. He was questioned for 36 hours before being released without charge.
Okay.
At least 13 eyewitnesses report seeing Corporal Fisher with Christina at Club 47 on the night of June the 12th, 1993. In addition to these accounts, investigators gathered forensic evidence linking the young soldier to Christina Menzies, which I'll elaborate on shortly.
Okay.
On Monday, June the 22nd, 1993, Corporal Darren Fisher was formally charged. Although his identity was initially withheld due to the involvement of both civilian and military police, once it was confirmed that the prime suspect was a serving British soldier, jurisdiction was handed to the British military police and the German civilian police stepped back. It was eventually decided that Fisher would face a court-martial for the crime. Darren Fisher of Reading, Berkshire, was tried before a military court in Allenbrook Barracks, Paderborn, Germany, with proceedings beginning on March the 14th, 1994. The court heard that the schoolgirl had been murdered after sexual activity in a young soldier's barracks. Lieutenant Colonel Roger Lewis, prosecuting, said red and blue fibres were found on Christina's body, which matched a Union Jack duvet and pillow on Fisher's bed.
Okay, right.
This is the duvet which has never been recovered. Fibres from Christina's clothing were also detected in Fisher's car. Witnesses claimed that Christina had been extremely drunk. Now, when this was reported in the papers, it felt a lot like victim blaming and like they were trying to tarnish this young girl's reputation and implying that she was at fault.
I would also, question how drunk she could have been that her parents would have let her stay.
Go back for that
yeah,
half an hour. I know, I didn't buy that bit
No,
either.
I don't believe that.
And I wasn't actually going to mention people saying that she was drunk, but I decided it's quite important to include that because if in fact she was drunk, this only adds an extra element to the 16-year-old schoolgirl's vulnerability, and somebody clearly took advantage of that.
That, and it also speaks to the narrative that we also see a lot of the victim blaming. Well, she was so drunk.
Yeah. Or she was wearing this, or she was drunk.
Yeah.
Or she was, yeah.
She could have been so drunk that she couldn't walk. But it doesn't mean that any of this was her fault.
Exactly.
And in fact, it's even worse because you think you're attracted to young girls for a start and incapacitation turns you on. What is wrong with you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. She was completely vulnerable
Poor kid.
without, being drunk. If she was in fact drunk, then...
Look, without any drink, any drugs, any other things that might make you vulnerable, when there's a predator about, you're instantly vulnerable anyway.
Yeah. On March the 29th, 1994, Lance Corporal Darren Fisher was acquitted of Christina Menzies' murder. He was instructed to put his beret and belt back on and resume his normal duties. He served alongside Christina's father in the Royal Logistics Corps.
Now, was it because there wasn't enough evidence? Yes, he was with her, she was in the car. Is there a world where she stormed off because he'd upset her and she befell something else or somebody else?
These are the gaps that I have, and I'll explain why when I come to the end.
I don't want to say too much about this Darren Fisher in case it wasn't, yeah.
No, I agree, and he has been acquitted, and I will talk about that more. There's a lot of this has been classified because it involves a still serving military person.
Yeah. Oh, still serving?
Yeah. The court erupted at this outcome. So while Fisher's relatives wept with joy and relief, Christine, the poor mother of Christina, shouted at the two defence lawyers, accusing them of letting a guilty man walk free. She shouted at Fisher, "You killed my daughter."
Just before you move on, the trial that he had, I don't know how they work in the military, so is there a jury or anything like that involved? So it's just one judge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Politics and legal shenanigans are not my area of expertise, so apologies now if I've misunderstood any of this. After Fisher was acquitted, John and Christine campaigned to have the court-martial system revised. They met with the then Prime Minister John Major, who sympathetically supported their campaign and said, "I can well understand their very close interest in seeking an overhaul of the court-martial system." The couple also campaigned to sue Fisher for damages, to have the corporal tried for perjury within the court, but they were strongly advised against pursuing these. In the years that followed, amendments to the court-martial system were discussed in the House of Commons during a scheduled revision of the Armed Forces Bill. This was discussed as a direct result of the Menzies-Fisher case. Many believe they'd had their man, but the court-martial was botched, which is why he got away. I'm trying to remain as completely impartial as possible while I present just what I've found. When discussing the case...
Sorry, I just have one more question.
That's all right.
How do they decide whether it's military court proceedings? Do you cover this later?
I do.
And not normal court proceedings? Okay, sorry.
It's all right. These are some of the bits that are missing as well. So, when discussing the case in Parliament, Mr George Galloway, MP for Glasgow, told Defence Procurement Minister Roger Freeman, the military police, who are just soldiers with armbands, and the military prosecutor, who was just a soldier in a wig, bungled the case. The murderer then walked free and is still at large, serving in Her Majesty's services. Is it not about time we overhauled the archaic system of military justice, which is widely discredited? Mrs. Christine Menzies remains bitter against the army, so that's
Well,
Christina's
there's no
mum.
surprise.
Yeah. Christina was a dependent, a nobody. Under British military law, Mrs. Menzies said, she was not even entitled to her own name on her death certificate. She was described only as the daughter of Staff Sergeant John Menzies. Yeah, I was so shocked.
I don't understand why they get to do the death certificate either. Surely that's... So, hang on. So when we were both registered,
Yeah.
when we were babies, our fathers were both serving.
Yeah.
Why is our name on our birth certificates?
I know. It's... why does it get to go on your birth certificate and not...
That just goes to show she meant nothing. She was a number.
It's horrid, isn't it?
That's horrible, yeah.
And it's horrid to think that all those military family... Oh, yeah. Don't get me started. It's not even the worst of it. So this grieving family had to pay to have their daughter's body returned back to Scotland to be laid to rest. And I did find a number and it said 180 quid, but I don't know if that's accurate. But of all the things that they shouldn't have even had to consider or deal with at the time. It's things that you don't even think of, though. And I
think that's awful.
These
You're
things
not a person.
actually do affect... They make this horrible situation even worse, don't they?
Yeah, because you're basically saying they're not worthy.
Yeah. Key points taken from Hansard, which is the official record of debates from Parliament here in the UK. So on the 17th of February 1995, while discussing Christina Menzies' murder case, and I've done these as... they're exactly as they were written, you know.
Quote.
Yes. Well,
Verbatim.
verbatim. That's the word I was looking for, the Latin word. The government's position is that despite a not guilty verdict in the trial, the case is not formally closed.
Oh, okay.
If new evidence emerges, it can be investigated further. However, at the time, no active investigations were underway by either German or British military police. That was in 1995.
Are normal police allowed to look into this, or we're not allowed?
I actually don't know that.
They're not allowed to file.
Like I say, a lot of it has been classified. The government defends the handling of the investigation and the prosecution, asserting no basis for a further inquiry into how the case was presented. They can look at Christina Menzies' case itself, but not the one that's already been and gone. They can't pick holes in.
But did they? So did they say, oh, he's been proven not guilty, or however it worked, he's been declared not guilty, so we continue looking for who did this? Did they continue looking at our case?
Well, this is it. There's no active... They didn't.
So they just said, oh, somebody's killed her, could kill again.
So there is an open inquiry.
But it's not being worked.
But there's no active.
That's disgusting.
But does that also say they know who it was and they just didn't?
Well, I'd just... and if it's all classified and redacted, I'd be interested to know why. What evidence did they not have?
Yeah, what was missing? That's what I want to know, and that's what I've tried really hard to find, and I can't. And I would imagine that her parents have probably tried really hard as well.
Oh, of course. Are they still alive?
Yes.
Yeah.
It also implies that jurisdiction was appropriately transferred to British military authorities under international agreements given the nature of the parties involved, a British service suspect and a British military base. But John and Christine Menzies and others have argued that because Christina was a dependent and not a service person, and because her body was found outside of the airbase, the trial should have been handled in a civilian court.
Yeah.
They expressed that if this crime had occurred in the UK, Fisher would not have faced court-martial but a civilian trial instead. And they believe the outcome would have been different as they strongly feel that the court-martial was completely bungled. Apparently, they couldn't even locate a Bible for him to put his hand on to swear under oath.
They don't have shops in Germany, that's why they don't have bookshops or churches or anything else. That should have been enough for them to say, well, you can't follow court proceedings properly.
Yeah.
How many people...
You hear people that get away with things on technicalities, but that whole... It should have been a mistrial from then, shouldn't it?
That's just lazy. It makes you wonder how many serial killers work within the military. Sorry about this, military people, but within the military community because they know they can get away with it. Like, how much have we not heard at all?
Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I'm thankful for our military, I really am.
Me too, and I think they should be...
but they need
investing
things
in
need
it
to be
more,
done properly.
not reducing it.
Yeah.
But That's just my opinion. A question was asked during a parliamentary debate on the 13th of December 1995. Is justice served by pitting armed forces officers who perhaps are inexperienced in matters as serious as homicide against the best money can buy in an experienced criminal defence counsel? Because apparently Corporal Fisher was very well represented.
Wait. He's allowed an independent... No, if they're going to do everything within the military, there should be military lawyers and solicitors that he has to work
with.
This
was apparently paid for by legal aid as well.
No!
And again, I'm trying to remain impartial and just present what I find.
Well, I'm not. That's wrong. You can't have it both ways. Either it's all done through the military system or it's done through the UK court system.
It should be one or the other.
Yeah, it can't be both.
Not work it to your best advantage. I know. Roll forward to the 20th anniversary of Christina's murder. John and Christine have never given up hope, and they have made every effort and taken every opportunity, and they've done appeals, and they just want to seek justice for their little girl. The inquiry by the Royal Military Police, named Operation Gemini, remains open. Those closest to the case strongly believe that someone within the military family holds the key to solving it. Operation Gemini has a Facebook page with the contact telephone number and email, and I'll share this on our page. So I worried because I'm like, oh no, Gemma's going to know, because I followed it on our Criminal Crack page, and I was like, oh, she's going to see. But then I thought you might just thought it was because I do follow interesting things and not necessarily doing cases on them, but yeah, I will share all that. On the morning of Tuesday, the 13th of June 2017, which was 24 years to the day since Christina's body was discovered in undergrowth close to RAF Gütersloh, BBC Crime Watch launched an appeal for fresh information. I'll upload the clip to our page once our pod is released. Captain Alex Stanton of the Royal Military Police shared details of the case on this show and urged anyone with information to come forward. Investigators are especially keen to hear from anyone who may know more about Christina's movements after she left the club that night. Crime Stoppers has offered a reward of £20,000 for any key information, and I'm going to share the telephone number just in case our pod reaches someone that can help. If you have any details, please call 0800 555 111, and you can remain completely anonymous with them. You do not have to give them your identity. Christine Menzies said people's loyalties change over time. They don't have the same allegiances. The army is a very close-knit group. Most of them won't be in the army anymore. They don't have to protect anybody anymore. Forensic evidence has been reinvestigated over the years too, using advanced technology and new methods, but no significant findings have been publicly shared. And whilst science usually holds the answers, in this case, this family and the people really do need information from those who were present on the night. They just need that little nugget of information, I think.
So it's the same with so many cases that we've gone through.
Yeah. The grief that still lingers over the Menzies family like a dark cloud is as heavy as it is unimaginable. One moment they'd been watching their daughter full of life and laughter, planning for the next stages of her young life. The next she was gone, and nobody has been held accountable. No one seems to know or won't admit what happened during that final half an hour at the disco or during the following hours. Christina stepped out of the back of Club 47 and vanished into the night. Within 17 hours, 2 parents lost their little girl forever, in the most horrendous of circumstances, and to this day the mystery endures. Questions remain unanswered, and a murderer lives unpunished for his crimes.
But they knew she'd been in the barracks.
Yeah.
So other people must have seen her.
If he was in a Singley's block as well,
you would
what
see
they
him
were
coming
like.
in the door. Yeah.
I mean, Dad remembers actually what they were like at Gütersloh.
You would see, like, so I used to stay with my dad in the block a lot, and
it's like a long corridor, wasn't it? It's a bit like student.
It is. The
digs.
newer ones are a little bit like Premier Lodges. When you go in, they smelled, and well, they won't now, but they smelled and felt kind of fancy. But I remember you would see people and they'd be saying stupid nicknames at each other and stuff. And then you had like the shower block. So if I wanted a shower, I would wait and to make sure nobody was in there.
What about toilets? They're all shared toilets and stuff as well?
They were shared toilets. I'm just trying to think. Did my dad's second... So in the newer block, he had his own bathroom.
Right.
But in the older block, yeah, if I needed the toilet in the night, I had to go out.
And this was 1993. So yeah. Somebody knows. Someone.
I don't know how people keep these secrets.
And that is what Christina's family have been appealing for. They just want somebody to come forward and say, just
Well, we talked
Why
about...
are you holding
You mentioned
on to
Sean earlier. Sean Ritchie, that's what they need there as well.
Just
Somebody speak out.
have the courage to actually say. Someone knows something, and the cowardice to not speak up has caused this family years of unnecessary and prolonged pain.
These people are supposed to be big, bad military men, brave, or men and women, sorry, but it would be men in the block. It would all be men in the block,
So to leave them stranded like this family is inhumane.
It is.
And the pain of not knowing, just the decades of silence and the speculation and the questions unanswered is cruel.
It is.
It's really cruel. It's been now 32 years, and the Menzies said they feel like they've been left in 1993.
Mm-hmm. Your life can't move on.
No. And they want some closure so that they can just maybe have a better quality of life going forward. Just something, just to move forward. This never gonna not hurt.
Yeah. But I don't know how to say this without... It's a horrible thing to say, but I'm glad they had her body. I'm glad they were able to lay her to rest.
Yeah. Some people don't have that, do they? But So I'm pleading with people to come forward, tell what you know, the torment of this family, and maybe even the person who's held on to the dark secret for so long. It can't end for anyone until they speak out. So, and they might be. This person or people, they might be completely tormented themselves.
They might have spoken out, though. Because how many stories do you hear where people will say, oh yeah, he once told me at a party, but then he was really drunk, or... Yeah.
And also these 300 interviews that they did, have they been through? Have they... with a fine-tooth comb, have they been
Doesn't
back
sound
and
like
revisited?
they've looked at it again.
So
give it to a cold case team in the actual regular police. Yeah.
Your information and honesty isn't going to lead to a conviction of an innocent man.
Exactly.
That's the thing that I want to say. It's hard enough to convict someone that's guilty. If you know something, it's not going to put somebody that's innocent away.
Well,
it can only ensure justice be done.
That's
I know
not
you're talking about the
true.
Innocence Project, aren't you?
But, that's not necessarily true, but that's not your responsibility as the person who knows the information. Once you've told what you know, as long as you're not lying, then you've done your bit. Whatever happens next it's not on you.
No.
So if somebody, God forbid, innocent does get into trouble, that's on the people who are investigating it. That's not on you as a person. I just don't know how you would hold on to knowing this sort of information and it not eating you alive. Even if you think, oh, now that I'm thinking about it, I did see something. You might think it's just such a small bit, but that might be the piece of the puzzle that they need. Like, hypothetically, in this sort of case, oh, I saw that person later on with a group of 3 and they were chatting and laughing. I've never brought it up because I thought, well, she seemed happy at the time, but I guess you did need to know that.
There is a lot of speculative information out there, a lot of hearsay. There were some suggestions that she was with a serviceman who was very drunk outside and her dad saw him off. But it doesn't ring true that her parents would have let her go back inside, but she could have may well stormed back inside.
So there's nothing to say that the dad has confirmed that happened?
No, I don't think so.
Where's that information come from?
That was in a newspaper article, believe. But I've also been looking at the chat forums on the forces pages as well, so there's lots of tidbits and stuff that is, like I say, it's hearsay.
Now, are these pages being monitored by people who can actually then go and look at the case again?
I doubt it.
I don't think this is they should have to come out and say whether they're working that case or not.
I'm going to share all the links that I've looked at.
Yeah.
And I've got over a page of links this time.
Can I just ask, as the person that has to put these on the references, can you put them in order? Like, group them together? Like, if it's from a certain forces page, put all those ones together, because that's what I do with mine. It's just easier for people.
No.
Yes. Because I have to do it otherwise.
I just add them when I find them.
No.
Oh. I read something that I think it was in a newspaper article, but it was from somebody that attended the court-martial.
Okay.
And it was a witness statement of another soldier, and he said he'd seen Fisher with the girl, but he'd also been in a toilet cubicle in Club 47 in the gents, and there was a male and female in the next cubicle, The female was Christina, but the male he didn't recognise.
Okay.
And when Fisher was questioned, he said that Christina had been in his barracks, but she'd gone off and said she was going to find her boyfriend.
Okay, but there's been no mention of a boyfriend, because why would she be kissing a random outside?
I know. That's what I mean. That's why I didn't include it. Because it's also
I'd like
vague.
to know, did he have his own room, or was it barracks, as in groups of them in the same room? Because it doesn't matter if the quilt came off his bed, if somebody else was in there. You know, like, I know with army barracks, it's different to RAF. It can be like 10 in the same room.
There's a suggestion that he tried to help, like, look after her because she was drunk. There's so much missing.
And the fact that they've kept it closed like this only keeps a shadow on him. If he's genuinely innocent, then if I was him, I'd be shouting it from the rooftops, but he's probably not allowed to if he's still serving. But would you want to still serve for an army that did that to you?
I know.
Because people are always going to think that of him, aren't they?
I think he's quite high up now as well. This may be nothing, or it may be something.
Okay.
So I'm going to just say trigger warning, but I have left out the most
graphic.
Yeah. I want to share some information that I found whilst researching Christina Menzies' murder.
Okay.
These are details of another case. I'm not going to share everything because this isn't the focus of my case today, but the crimes perpetrated by this person were grotesque. And so that's why I wanted to say there's a little trigger. So I'm not naive enough to think that anyone with any sort of power or provenance in the Christina Menzies case will be listening to our podcast. However, if there's even the slightest chance, then I want to include this and simply suggest that the powers that be delve further,
Okay.
if they deem fit. As mentioned, finding details of crimes involving military personnel and their families is mostly classified. So this could be nothing because there are, again, some gaps. It could be something that can instantly be dismissed as well by somebody with more inside knowledge, but I just feel it's relevant, so I want to include it.
Okay.
In Flint, North Wales, on the evening of the 7th of January 1976, at around 7 o'clock, 15-year-old Janet Commins left her home to meet her friends at the local swimming baths. She'd left a note for her parents to say that she'd be home at about 8:30, but when 9 o'clock came, her parents became increasingly concerned when she hadn't come home. The baths were now closed and their daughter had not returned, and by 11 p.m. they reported her missing.
Okay. What? Sorry, 1976.
Yeah.
Okay.
4 days later, on the Sunday, so that was the 12th of January 1976, two girls playing on some rough ground adjacent to Gwynedd Primary School found the body of a young girl.
Oh no, kids.
No. This was identified as that of the missing Janet Commins. A police investigation was commenced. From the state of her clothing and her limbs, it appeared that she'd been dragged by her legs to where the body was concealed. Her upper clothing was normally fastened and in place, but the waistband and zip of her jeans was unfastened and her knickers were missing. And both of her shoes were missing.
The shoes again.
Dr. Reuben Woodcock, a forensic pathologist, attended the scene and later conducted a post-mortem. He identified bruising under the chin consistent with light pressure with a hand and linear abrasions consistent with clothing being held tightly in an act of asphyxia. Janet's cause of death was strangulation or smothering, and a blow to the head during a ferocious sexual assault. Many locals were interviewed at the time, including Stephen Ho, who claimed he had been... He had been masturbating and siphoning petrol nearby. Like, great alibi, dude.
Wait a minute. But if you're... Like, I've seen people do that siphoning stuff before. And you have to suck it up, don't you? You suck the petrol up the tube.
Yeah, but before it reaches your mouth, you have to...
Yeah, so wouldn't you want to be concentrating on stopping the petrol going in your mouth rather than thinking, oh, while I'm doing this, I'll have a cheeky wank?
I don't think he was doing them in tandem. I don't think it was the same time. I
Well,
just
why
think
mention both?
I think he was just trying... I know, why? But I think he was trying to explain his...
It's got to be legitimate, because you wouldn't say that. Like, if I got caught speeding... and pulled over at the side, and I'd say, oh, sorry, I accidentally did that because I was having a fap while I was driving.
He's not the brightest spark, so...
Neither am I. I just said fap on the radio podcast.
On the radio! Sorry, we shouldn't be laughing. Anyway,
No, at that alibi, you have to laugh.
Well, yeah. I'm not going into full details because I'm not covering this case as such, but he came up with a story about his friend raping the girl. And he had picked up the girl's shoes and had them in his pocket, but he'd forgot he'd picked them up, and so he discarded them somewhere else. And it's all a bit bizarre, but... somehow he got away with this crime for years.
Yeah, now that's looking like that wasn't a really great alibi. Was that just so that if his semen was found on the scene? You see, but I was just...
But they didn't know about that sort of thing then, did they, in 1976? They didn't know about, like, the forensics so much. It wasn't even in the public domain.
Well...
And especially for a 16-year-old. He was 16.
Well, you think that, but then an awful lot of that sort of stuff has been kept till the technology caught up. So I think there was always the worry that you're leaving something behind. You might not understand forensics, but you might think, oh, if they find something that would point to me.
The fingerprint, that was always
Yeah.
Well, in 2006, DNA was extracted from samples held in the Janet Cummings case from 1976, and it was added to the National DNA Database.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2016, DNA was taken from a man named Stephen Ho, and they matched.
Right. Was he in the army? Was he in Gooterslow?
Shush. I'll get there.
Was he the other person questioned?
Stephen was a little shy of 17 when he had raped and murdered 15-year-old Janet Cummings, and in 2017 he was sentenced to 12 years, which is not enough in my opinion, but that's not the reason.
Wait, how
I'm
old is he when he
discussing
gets sentenced?
Oh gosh. So what, he was just shy of 17 in 76.
86, 96, 2006, 40... So he's 57 when he
Yeah.
got caught. Yes, I did that on my fingers.
So you can count a potato. When I was reading the transcript from the sentencing hearing, which was on the 17th of July 2017, I noticed something which made my hair stand on end. Stephen Ho had not been of good character since 1976, and this is something which the judge considered when deciding the sentence.
He gave him 12 years.
Wait, I know, that's ridiculous, right? But the judge's exact words were, "It is the case that you were convicted in the 1980s of causing grievous bodily assault on a woman when you were a serving soldier based in Germany."
Mm-hmm.
After lots more sleuthing and reading, and this... I did a lot of reading, I tried to. It turns out that Stephen Ho committed this offence sometime in 1988. He assaulted a German hotel receptionist while on exercise with the army. He was sentenced to 5 years and dismissed from the army and incarcerated in Germany.
Right, hang on. Was he tried through the military proceedings or regular proceedings?
Regular.
And back then, did they not even do cheek swabs when...
I don't know.
Yeah,
But, get this, he was released in Germany
in 1974.
in 1993.
1993. I was
Yeah.
getting the dates wrong
Yeah.
because of the 47 and the...
Yeah, in 1993. He was released in Germany from prison.
But could he have gotten onto base, or was she not killed on base then?
Well, they said...
No,
that
they said it was off
They
base.
said she was killed
So
when
did
was
she
found.
try and walk home?
Exactly.
So have they not
This-
got anything they can test against? You told me this was unsolved. The first case was unsolved.
It
So they
is
haven't
unsolved.
tested his DNA against anything they
So-
found. So Fisher might be
By this
innocent.
time, as I mentioned, he had been discharged from the army. But could his presence have been overshadowed by one of the biggest days in the British Forces Germany military calendar? Because it was the RASS.
Mm-hmm.
Could he have met up with old friends after being released? Like I say, this could be one of those things that...
But would you take somebody onto base that had just come out of prison and
was
had
he
been thrown
necessarily
out?
on base? But there were bars and taverns around the base.
So potentially she went back with Fisher.
How closely were they checking as well? Would
Yeah.
they know if he still had his ID? I
Would they-
doubt he would have done, but you see in films when they're arrested and their personal belongings are put in a bag and into storage and they're just handed back when they leave.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say when they check out, that's bad, but when they leave, their personal belongings are often just handed back across. Would the person that was handing those belongings have checked and gone, well, that's invalid now because actually you were released?
He would
from
have
your
had that taken
duties?
off him before he went to prison, though.
I don't know. How sure can we be?
Well, we can't be.
So he had been discharged from the army, but his presence could have been overshadowed by this huge day. And it's one of those things. Someone with more knowledge and the officers who are still able to investigate this Operation Gemini, they could potentially dismiss this instantly as a possibility, but it got my attention, and the similarities are undeniable, I think. And surely it just needs a closer look with those that have the power to do so, that have the details of where he was held in Germany, where his movements in Germany were before. Was it likely that he would have had friends still around that area, or family?
My thought is, if I was Darren Fisher, at this point, now, in 2025, if I knew about him, then I would put that forward as a possibility. Because if Darren Fisher's not actually done anything to this girl, then that would rule him out officially and say, no, look, I never had anything to do with it. It's this guy. Or even if they'd done a proper court case, then maybe this would have been found as well. And it would have showed reasonable doubt, so at least you could understand why nobody was inside for this. Surely there has to be something they can do DNA-wise now, because they've got his DNA already. So why can't they compare it to something they have from the scene, unless they didn't get anything from the scene because it was the military police doing it, and maybe they want to cover it up so it's not an army death. An army murder,
there are
sorry.
so many unanswered questions in this. And I spoke to my dad because I thought that people in the military that are arrested would get sent back from Germany to the UK. And I was right in thinking that, because I think there's a military prison in Colchester where they would have been sent. But because he was relieved of his duties, the crime was off of base. It was a German woman. Everything I could find said he was incarcerated in Germany and released in 1993. Now, he could have been released in December and this was in June. But somebody with the capability can look into that and either go yay or nay, can't they? And we can't do that.
Isn't there somewhere you can check release dates for prisoners?
I've tried, I have looked, but if anyone can,
Does your dad not have any contacts?
No, I don't think so.
Because he was in a regular jail, yeah?
Yeah. Can't even find where he was housed. It just said that he was released in Germany in 1993.
Oh, but he went to a German prison. This was my other question as well. When they did the court-martial, was it going by UK rules or was it going by German rules? Are they different, or is there all, or are all
the court-martial
bases?
is a court-martial. It's
the same no matter where you are.
No, I think there's different rules in America and stuff, but the UK certainly. The British forces.
But if you're employed by the British forces, surely it should be British proceedings, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. That doesn't actually have any bearing on anything. It was just something that interested me.
So,
he sounds like somebody definitely worth looking into.
I think so. I think if I had...
Email isn't there a page? Do the parents have a page set up?
They do.
Why don't you email the page and just say, look, sorry to bother you,
I was hoping that this podcast would somehow reach the right people and they can see that we've actually put some effort into it and not just shoved it all together, and it could I've got some more stuff to say anyway, so
but the thing is, on that note though, you could get in touch with them and say, we've just done an episode based on your daughter's case, we've had some thoughts, we're not professionals at anything, we're just true crime podcasters who enjoy research, and you've come across that. It won't do any harm.
No. Well, I put a note on the end of this to say that from this experience, I know now that researching cases involving military personnel, and especially those posted overseas, is really, really blooming difficult. Much of the information is classified, incomplete, or missing entirely, and even more so when someone has been charged and found not guilty. And despite exhaustive searching, I openly admit that there are some gaps in this story, but it's not for lack of trying, and the truth is out there, and I just implore people to fill in the gaps if they're able.
Or to protest against the fact that this can happen this way.
Yeah. And it's been going on, like I say, for 32 years for this family. Mm-hmm. And this is just one family.
Yeah.
If you can share any of our episodes, please make it the ones where the families are still searching and still waiting for answers. The ones where we can still hope that these heartbroken families might yet find some resolve. Mm-hmm. Start with our first case, Sean Ritchie, who went missing from Aberdeenshire on Halloween night in 2014 in very unusual circumstances.
Yes.
Or Christina's story, and there will be others as well, I know there will. While we want our podcast to be compelling, it's not the reason that we're doing it. Ultimately, we'd really like to help, and we've said that all along.
It's not about entertainment.
No.
It's about getting the cases out.
So when we ask you to like and share and comment, it's because if our audience grows, then we might just reach someone who can make a difference in the world.
Yeah.
Every new listener means another chance that someone somewhere hears something that matters. And in criminal investigations, we've touched on this a few times, but sometimes the smallest detail can break a case wide open. And you might think, Gemma said it before, you might think that what you know is insignificant, but it could be that crucial missing piece of information that someone has been praying for.
It could be a piece of information, or it could show that somebody who is being questioned is lying. It could be the proof of their lying and make
It could be the proof
people
of their
push hard
innocence too.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're trying to be impartial.
Yeah, but if we're talking about
do
innocence,
not-
we can talk about guilt as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
We don't have any skin in the game, as Derek Levasseur from Crime Weekly would say.
That's a horrible saying.
And yeah, I know, it does mean, like, we don't have personal connection. There's no reason for us...
There's no motive for us to...
No. For example, if we do a case and we talk about somebody being put away and they're guilty, if that ends up not being the end of the story, if something comes out in 3 years' time where that person's been found innocent, we will share that as well.
Yeah.
We're not...
And we're not here to
We're
give
not
one
judge or
side of a
jury.
story.
No.
You're not Judge Judy?
Judge or jury. I'm not... Baloney!
This one really, really... It just made me feel really funny because I knew this life in Germany. You know, I lived in a little place called Vietze outside of the base. I used to go to Alpagos with my family on a...
Yeah,
you went to Alpagos.
I went to Alpagos.
When we went.
You should put up the pictures of us at Alpagos.
Yeah, and we used to go hang around in Borewoods. We used to go on bike rides. It was considered a safe place. I felt very fortunate to have this upbringing. I had a happy childhood, and I hope that Christina and her brother had the same.
You're still living your happy childhood.
Yeah, I've never grown up. I just really want them to have some answers. I really want them to.
This is your Sean Ritchie.
Yeah.
Because that's the one the case I just can't move on from.
Yeah. So it's sad, but I do believe someone out there can shed some light on this. And I also do hope that they can either eliminate or incriminate the rightful,
the culprit.
But our thoughts are with the Menzies family.
They are.
And
I don't know how
friends.
people move on or continue to go on after something like that's happened. I really don't.
There's a kind of strength in survivors. You don't know that.
There is, but your life shouldn't be focused for the rest of your life on something that happened 32 years ago. I don't mean that in a flippant way. I mean, it changes not just the person who's been attacked or passed away. It changes everybody else. It changes the course of their lives, because nobody thinks this is going to happen to them, and then they're not going to do all the cool things that they wanted to do, things with their career, have grandchildren, for example.
Yeah. Somebody else
touches
has the
everyone.
power to allow them to move forward as well, and that's
Or just
sad.
to give them answers.
Yeah. So
And-
that's my case for today. I will put all the links up as usual in the order that Gemma said, and
She doesn't put them up in order. I have to put them up in order on Spotify.
And I've got a few things to share, including the Crime Stoppers number. I'll share, I think her dad's Facebook page is public as well, and Operation Gemini's Facebook page.
Has he got stuff about the
Yeah.
campaigning on
Yes,
it? Okay,
yes, yeah. It's just it's,
like we
it's
found
not-
all her family members, so you can. Yeah, no, don't.
No, we don't want. No.
And please, even if you think you're being helpful, and I did say to Victoria earlier about messaging the family page about this, please don't get in touch with the family unless you actually have something to say.
Yeah. There's a number, there's an email on the Operation Gemini page, and anything, even if you think it's the smallest thing, if you were in that club on the 12th of June in 1993, yeah.
Maybe you had a camera with you. You have pictures so you could see who she was, like you might have her in the background with somebody else. That hasn't been questioned.
No.
Well, that was horrible.
Again, sorry.
It was, but it was really well.
of our podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really well researched, despite the constraints that you had. If anybody in the forces feels like dropping us a message to give us more information about how things work, we'd welcome that.
And also, if you've got any criticism, if I've said anything wrong, because like I say, it was a really difficult one to research, and I will take, I'll take
Yeah,
it.
if there's any mistakes, and she will, in every episode, if we've made a mistake, you'll let us know, and we will talk about them in the following episode.
Yeah. Almost forgot. So it was my friend Steph, actually. She was married to a squaddy, and she was based in Gütersloh about 20 years ago, I believe it was. And the whole community there still remembers. It's still a sensitive subject, and she was the one that suggested I look at this case. So thanks for that, Steph, and thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you, Steph. Okay, well, that's us done.
That's us done.
So I'll say bye.
Keep on trucking.